Brooklyn Guy has had one of the wildest rises and downfalls in SML history. Once a fan favorite, now he's one of the most disliked characters. But why did fans turn on him? To answer that question, we're gonna have to take a look at his first appearance and learn what made him so likable back in his prime. Brooklyn Guy was first introduced in SML short Stuck in a Tree, and in this video, he was so much different from his usual self we see today. He was voiced by Logan's friend Noah instead of Poobie, and he was actually trying to do his job for once, which made him a pretty likable character right off the bat.
Man, my firefighter job is so boring.
But since he just appeared in one video, everyone pretty much just forgot about him. Though, not for long, because in 2014, SML decided to start a new series called Summer School, and in this series, Brooklyn Guy came back as a firefighter again, and this is where Poobie permanently took over the voice. This time, he actually got some personality to his character. In this video, he calls himself the Brooklyn Firefighter, swears a lot, and in general, fans started loving him. So SML decided to put him in more and more videos.
I'm the Brooklyn Firefighter, and I'm here to help. What are you people doing in here? There's a fucking fire. I mean, like, not immediately, but, like, goddamn, it's around, you know? Get out of the corner. What are you doing? Come on, let's go.
Brooklyn Guy mostly stayed a firefighter until the Summer School series ended. But when it did end, he started getting all the jobs he has today. A notable video to look at would be the Call of Duty Blackout. And we can see from this video forward, instead of having that excited, ready to do his job type voice he had in his earlier videos, his voice started to change to the broke, middle-aged dad we all know and love today.
Oh, it's me, it's me.
No, I'm the electrician. This here's my stupid son.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dad.
Oh, well, why is your son with you?
Because it's bring your child to work day,
This only made fans love him even more. So rather than being a minor character that would appear once in a blue moon, he became more of a side character in the show. And this leads us to the prime Brooklyn Guy era, which was 2017. In 2017, he wasn't getting overused like he is today, and he was actually a funny character. But that isn't even it, because he actually had a ton of lore to his character. In SML movie The New House, Brooklyn Guy casually mentions how he has hundreds of different brothers.
Bowser, this guy needs to speak to us.
Whoa, this guy? I have a name. My name is Brooklyn Guy. This guy is my brother.
What guy?
No, what guy is my other brother? I got this guy, what guy, the guy, a guy. I also got a Chicago guy, Manhattan guy. It just goes on.
San Francisco guy?
Yeah, San Francisco guy. And
Miami guy?
Yeah, Miami guy and Frank.
Usually in SML, there's no canon, but later on in the video, Brooklyn Guy's showing them around the house as a tour guide, and when we get upstairs, he shows them the secret door. He tells them whatever they do not to go in there. This was left as a mystery in the video, which left everyone wanting to know what was in that door. And what was in there was about to completely change our perception of Brooklyn Guy and added a whole new layer of depth to his character. Because 7 months later, in SML movie The Secret Door, they go inside of it and find out that 26 of the previous owners died in the house. And Brooklyn Guy was revealed to be a psycho murderer who killed anybody who opened that door. Okay, wait, back to him having a million brothers. Brooklyn Guy wasn't actually the psycho murderer. It was his only identical brother does bad things guy. The amount of lore that goes on with Brooklyn Guy in these videos is completely different from anything we've seen in SML before, with The Secret Door being one of the most popular videos on the SML Reuploaded channel with over 10 million views, which really shows how much fans loved the lore with Brooklyn Guy and connected with his character. So with all these things combined, Brooklyn Guy was in his prime and pretty much made every video he was in a banger. But things wouldn't stay good for long, because in 2021, when Logan switched to his 4th SML channel, things started changing, including the characters that appeared in videos and how often they did, which is when Brooklyn Guy got his first video named after him. And after that got a lot of views, SML started using him more and more, making him into a main character. And just to put this into perspective, in 2014, which was the first year that Brooklyn Guy started to really show up in videos, he only made 14 total appearances. And in 2021, he started to become a main character and he made 94 appearances that year, which means Brooklyn Guy only didn't show up in 7 videos that year. But at least at this point, he was getting more depth added to his character in these videos. For example, we actually started to find out more about his home life with Karen, and that he was actually the father of Penelope, which shocked viewers since he looks nothing like her. Brooklyn Guy was turning out to be much more than just a guy with every job. But it wouldn't stay this way for long, because in 2024, he once again started to appear in more and more videos, which shouldn't be a problem in itself. itself, but it started to become a trend where Brooklyn Guy would only show up in videos to add filler. And the way they would do this most of the time is with Nintendo animations, which would go on for minutes at a time and barely relate to anything the video was about. He was pretty much just the new Jeffy at this point, and this is when fans started noticing all the filler and started complaining. Funny how Brooklyn Guy became overhated so fast. At this time, it pretty much just felt like SML was cranking out 10-minute videos for the sake of making more money, and they used Brooklyn Guy as a tool to get that 10-minute mark on every video. One of the worst examples of Brooklyn Guy being completely unbearable in modern day SML is an SML movie, The Avengers of D, where Marvin calls Brooklyn Guy to help him get rid of all of Rose's exes that invaded the house. And instead of doing his job and progressing the video and its plot, Brooklyn Guy just starts literally yapping for 4 minutes straight about his completely unrelated secret handshake.
Oh man, please answer.
Hey, Marvin, what's up?
Hey buddy, I need your help. So my wife has a...
You called me buddy? We really are buddies, aren't we, Marvin? We're best buds.
Holy yapping session from Brooklyn Guy. I was losing my brain cells from listening to Brooklyn Guy. Punkin Guy. Brooklyn Guy started becoming unbearable to sit through in these videos. Top that with the addition of him obsessing about Jimmy Butler and him drinking coffee. The fans started to get really tired of Brooklyn Guy and the direction they were taking his character. And SML started noticing this, so they decided to upload a meta video based on him being overused.
That comment was the last straw. You've been overused. You've been in 17 of the last 20 videos.
So, you can't get enough guy, right? You're always gonna need a cop or a doctor or a firefighter.
Videos based about you don't do very well. The Dalmatian got 2.1 million views in 3 days.
He went from being one of the most loved characters that SML has ever seen to one of the most hated in just a couple of years. And instead of being the comedic relief for a lot of people, he's just straight up filler now. So what can SML do to make Brooklyn Guy a better character again? First off, they need to slow down the Nintendo animations. They don't need to completely remove them because some of them are still funny, but it feels like almost every video has one of them now, and most of the time they barely relate to the story at all. Second, Brooklyn Guy needs to go back to being a side character. Right now, he feels like the new Jeffy, always showing up, often without a purpose. And while he's great in smaller doses, when he's the main focus, the videos tend to drag and feel repetitive. And speaking of Jeffy, Brooklyn Guy recently has actually made Jeffy a worse character, because nowadays when Brooklyn Guy comes over to yap on the red couch in a Jeffy video, after the intro, they often shift away from Jeffy onto Brooklyn Guy, which results in Jeffy becoming completely overshadowed. And he often just sits on the back of the couch staring into space and making goofy faces. Brooklyn Guy has pretty clearly had a big downfall as a character, but it's not all bad. As of recently in the Squid Game series, Brooklyn Guy had a clear role, was involved in the action, and actually made the videos more entertaining. That's how Brooklyn Guy should be used. Not just as filler, but as a character who actually enhances the story. SML clearly knows how to write great characters. They've released some amazing videos over the years, but lately it feels like they've fallen into a formula, one that prioritizes views over creativity. One of the reasons Brooklyn Guy hit his peak back in 2017 was because there was no strict formula. They just made videos based on what felt fun, not what would rack up the most clicks. If SML could get back to that kind of variety and spontaneity, I really believe Brooklyn Guy could have a second prime. And it's not just him. We could see more characters like Woody, Shrek, and even Dougie return in more meaningful ways. SML could feel fresh and exciting again. Back then, you'd never know what to expect from an SML video, but now it's the opposite, and that predictability is what's dragging Brooklyn Guy down.